Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Named after one of the most sensational racing drivers of all time, the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve is certainly one that lives up to its name. From the Senna S down to the eponymous hairpin, all the way into the run to the treacherous Wall of Champions, this island circuit, located just off of the heart of downtown Montreal, has become a fixture of the Formula One calendar and a layout that is adored by both drivers and fans alike. Hello, everyone, and welcome to round 2 of the Radical Racing Challenge live here on Apex Racing TV. My name is DJ Clark, with Simuli Kumo serving as our director and producer behind the scenes. And as we get ready to watch what will be around 20 or so Radicals take to this track, it is certainly going to be a fantastic run for sure. Plenty of good action here, plenty of good places to overtake. It is a real driver's delight around here. As we look up at the top of the charts right now, qualifying already underway, and it is this man in the number 3, Ennio Baba, leading the way with a time of 1:30.768, a monstrous gap as things run over Blanco behind him and Kjetil Larsen in third. Very, very close running there between those two. Then we have King, Steinwert, Woodward, Ladd, Brown, Rolston, Szyminski, Holkinen, Silva, and Leon, rounding out your top 13 of the drivers that have qualified thus far. Baba looks like they're just putting in some good times, as there was Robert Woodward able to improve. As I see Steinwert able to move his way up forward, the American, the Californian, able to put in a time that will be good enough for second best. That'll only put him about 7 or 8 tenths of a second off of Baba. Still, that time at the top of the charts looking very, very strong. Here is the UKNI driver, David Ralston, bringing the car down there. We talked about the Wall of Champions in that intro. You've got to get the Quebec chicane absolutely right to be able to nail that run through there. Ralston is going to be able to improve up into 9th place, and that will be the conclusion of his qualifying lap. So we take a little bit of a look farther back down in the field. This is Chris Brown bringing that black and gold liveried machine out of the final corner. He's going to cross over the line here at this point. Chris Brown, not going to be an improvement. Excuse me, that is not black and gold there for him. Different paint scheme showing up. But Brown looks like he's got one more lap to be able to bring himself along. Diving down now into the first chicane, this is one of those areas that I talked about where you're going to see plenty of good overtakes, plenty of good chances to be able to get done. Now going to bring it here into the second chicane, a very tricky braking zone to come into. You've got to wind the car in, unload the steering as you apply the brakes, and you see there Brown a little bit off of the apex as he brought that car through the corners. Not to be unexpected, but a little bit difficult to try to temper the braking in these machines. They're very wont to lock up, so you've got to be careful as you apply that middle pedal going down through the corners. Now into the third set of chicanes, and now it will lead its way out of sort of the foresty section of this circuit. It opens up wide here as they run down into the hairpin. A very, very crucial corner. You'd think, as it is one of the heaviest braking zones on the circuit, that it would be one of the areas to get an overtake in, but in reality, it's really where you want to set up that overtake. Get that run here, going down the long Casino Straight before you line yourself into the Quebec chicane and into the Wall of Champions. That's probably where we're going to see the most overtaking done, or down into turn one. But it looks like here Chris Brown going to bring that car down through the corner. Good job avoiding those big, big turtles down to the inside, and that is going to allow him to come to the line, although he's going to call it quits there. Looks like that lap was not going to be an improvement for Chris Brown in the number 10, and he will call it quits. Todd Brandt, another Californian there, entering into it. He's a little bit farther on the track. He's going to call it a day. Ayuso now the driver who's going to navigate through the Quebec chicane, out through the Wall of Champions right now. Let's see if he's able to put a time down on the board here. Ivan yet to set one, and that's going to be good enough for 14th position. So a good run there for the Iberian driver, and undoubtedly that'll make him relatively happy to have a pretty good time on the board with a 1:34.45. We've only got about 10 seconds left to go here in qualifying. I doubt we're going to see a lot of drivers coming to the line, as here is Miguel Leon, looking like he's had a little bit of a problem there going down through, I believe that was the third chicane, as the checkered flag now does fly for qualifying, and that's going to lock in here our 19-car grid. Two drivers not opting to set a time. That is Ostrogano and Sammy Bridges, the two that will not be setting that. But let's go ahead and run you through the starting grid here for today as drivers start to be able to get their way onto the charts. It is going to be Enio Baba leading the way, followed by Kjetil Larsen, Ryan Steinwart, and Rafael Blanco in row 2 behind them. Then it'll be Mike King and Brian Suminski, followed by Robert Woodward and Benish Ladd. Then it's David Rolston and Mika Hulkkonen, followed by Chris Brown and Daniel Silva to round out your top 12. Luke Albans lines up in 13th, followed by Ivan Ayuso in 14th, Todd Brandt 15th, and Francesco Tonin in 16th position. 17th will be Miguel Leon. Christian Ostrogano will line up in 18th, and Sammy Bridges will bring up the back of this 19-car field. Still waiting here for a couple of drivers to make their way on to the starting grid. As we said, a standing start here, as is traditional in the Radical Racing Challenge. That is going to be what you're going to see out here. Looks like this race will be 15 laps long, so it should be a pretty quick run around here for everybody as drivers get themselves up to go. Track temperatures here right in a good range right now, so I'm not going to have to worry too much about any of that. It's about 80 degrees Fahrenheit, 78 degrees air temperature right now, so that 80 right about in that Goldilocks zone. May have to work a little bit on to getting your tires up to temperature on that first lap, but I think by the time you get down into the second chicane, that should be plenty to have them up to temperature. Looks like the field is gridded as the engines begin to harmonize. 5 lights go on, 5 lights go off, and we are racing here in Montreal. A little bit of a squirrely start. We've already got some contact there in the back. I'm not sure. I think that may have been Bridges. Oh, it's a big track blockage there. Brandt, Leon, Bridges, Rolston. A lot of drivers involved in it. This is an absolute kerfluffle there on the front straightaway. Drivers trying to get themselves back turned around. Meanwhile, back up the front of the field, Kjetil Larsen trying to put a little bit of pressure here to the back of Baba as there they go. Baba starting to streak off into the distance a little bit. Larsen here under a little bit of attack from Steinwart. Blanco holding in position from behind. There goes King looking up to the inside in that number 6 machine, trying to see if he can force the 16 of Siminski out wide. That's a little bit of a gutsy maneuver there from Benish Ladd, but it looks like he's going to be able to hold on to it, and don't count count out King. Mike King there looking interested as well, thinking about making it 3 wide, going down under the bridge. It's only going to be 2 wide there between King and Szyminski, and it looks like it's going to be King that is able to get the run there over Szyminski. Szyminski now going back on the attack, lurking there in the background. He is that machine of Robert Woodward in the number 4, as here we go side by side between King and Szyminski, the 2 Americans trying to be able to see what they can do. A wide run there for Szyminski. That's going to put him now under pressure from Woodward. Remember, I said that you've really got to be on the throttle in the right way coming through that hairpin, and it looked like there that Szyminski just didn't have it. We now ride on board with Daniel De Silva, who's looking to be able to take a couple of positions. He's going to find the track blocked up in front of him. Later on the brakes is Szyminski. That's going to bottle up Woodward here as they dive down through Quebec. Whoa, little bit of a squirrely run there for Silva, trying to get on the loud pedal a little bit early, but he's going to be able to hold on to it and now have a little bit of a look here on Woodward as they go down into the first corner up to speed for the first time. Later on the binders was Silva, but Woodward able to get better part of the secondary phase of that braking zone. He's going to be able to hold that out, and Woodward in the number 4 able to keep his way ahead. A good run there for Woodward, putting on a stout defense front of the field. By the way, Baba just absolutely running away, 2 seconds the gap. This is one of the better battles on track that we keep our eyes on. Silva getting a little bit of a foul of the grass and the wall there on the exit of the first chicane section and locking up the brakes a little bit coming down into the second chicane. We talked about that maybe being a danger zone for those drivers. They've got to be very careful not to lock up the brakes, and now he's going to find himself under pressure here from Hulkinen from behind him, as it looks like you make one mistake here and that's going to cost you for lap after lap the way things are going here. Remember, only a 15-minute lap race here. Up in front of them, we've got a little bit of a battle, though. That's Woodward and Ladd. Oh, almost a little bit of a pinch there from Woodward going down into the braking zone. He's going to lock up the brakes. That's Ladd looking for the over-under coming through the hairpin. They're going to be in a straight drag race coming down off of it and onto the casino straight here. This is Woodward down to the inside, Ladd to the outside there, and that will switch back. This number 6 will have the preferred braking line as they come down into the Quebec chicane, but it's going to be a battle of late breakers here. You really can't go too wide into this area, but Woodward's going to try it, able to edge ahead. A good move there, but don't look now. Here comes Silva, maybe looking for a little bit of a move. Ladd not going anywhere here at this point. He's going to have the outside line going down into turn 1. There, Noah's Ark with Silva and Hulkinen behind them. Hulkinen trying to pick up a little bit of the pieces there. You can see some of the damage on the right-hand side there of the 6. Hulkinen going to be denied by Silva as they come out of the Senna S and now work their way towards turn 1, getting onto the binders here through this chicane, and it looks like they're all able to make it through relatively clean. With Woodward in 7th, then Ladd, Silva, Hulkinen, and don't look now, but that is Albans also getting involved in this as well. Luke Albans there in the number 9, certainly trying to be able to see what he can do, as all of this battling has allowed for all of these drivers to really close up in front of him. So that's going to be a good run there for them. By the way, bad news for fans of Sammy Bridges and Chris Brown. Both of those drivers are in pit lane after that opening lap incident that we saw. A little bit of a move there in front I'm seeing, I believe. That is Silva trying to make a move there on Benish Ladd, going down into the hairpin. That's not going to play itself out. Maybe looking for a little bit of an over-under, but not quite able to get the grip. Gets on the loud pedal too early, and that's going to be a spin. That is a spin out there. My goodness, that is Silva losing 2-3 positions and finding himself well down in the order. I think that's just a simple case of getting onto the loud pedal too early, spinning those rear tires, and seeing that car pointed the wrong way. But the front of the field, Baba setting the fastest lap of the race with a 1:30.685. There's a little bit of love on your screen to our leader in the number 3 right now, doing a fantastic job of just controlling the pace. Kjell Larsen behind him. Oh, as we've got another car around, that's Szyminski. Brian Szyminski getting it wrong. Looks like that's going to be going down into the Senna S, I believe, right at about pit exit there for Szyminski. So he got things wrong, and now he finds himself dropping down through the order here at this point. That battle that we were keeping our eye on, slowly but surely losing driver after driver here as they run. And this is certainly going to create a little bit of interesting intrigue later on in the race. We're going to check in on the battle for P3 right now, the final spot on the podium positions. Steinwert holding on right now in that number 5. Rafael Blanco in that coveted number 1 spot, stalking behind his prey here as they go down into the hairpin. Looks like at this point Blanco able to get a little bit of a tighter run through the corner. The Uruguayan driver trying to get that exit off of the corner that he so much covets, but it looks like here that Steinwart's going to be able to hold on to it for the moment. Blanco not nearly close enough to make that work, going down into the corner. Let's see here as they dive onto the binders, going down through Quebec. You can hear those cars dancing around as they take a big chunk of that exit and entrance curbing to that section. Baba setting another fastest lap of the race here on lap 4. He just continues to pull away at the front of the field, but Blanco continuing to close in behind Steinwart here at this point. Looking, not able to see it. Steinwart doing a good job of blocking off the apex there and holding that number 5 car into position, as now Blanco is going to try to gain a little bit of speed here going through the first chicane. We ride on board the nose of the number 1 here at this point. He's got better speed coming out of the first chicane, dives down into chicane number 2. Gaining a little bit more time, a little bit off the apex there for Steinwart. That could be a little bit of a run, but it looks like he was able to get the power down off of the corner a little bit better. That gap holding at about 2.5 tenths of a second here. Blanco just holding in behind, waiting for that maneuver to take its place. Let's see here if he's going to have anything. Going down through the third chicane as they make their run now down into the hairpin. He's going to be all the way to driver's left on the circuit, trying to take a little bit of a later apex into the hairpin. I like that move there from Rafael Blanco, just trying to maximize speed on corner exit, but it's not going to be enough. Again, that is going to be Steinwart, able to hold out a little bit more of an advantage here at this point, able to just hold on to it and keep going. Let's see now as they go down into the braking zone for that final chicane. Little bit of squirreliness there for Blanco. You can see that rear end of the car wanting to step out on him a little bit as they complete lap 5. A third of the way in this race down already. That's just how quickly this Radical Racing Challenge will fly at you. So here's Blanco trying to see what he's able to do. I like the patience here that I'm seeing out of Rafael Blanco. He's doing a very, very good job as both cars single file down into the first chicane. He's not making any aggressive moves. He's just filling the rear view mirror here of Steinwart, trying to see if there's anything to be able to get on by. Again, closing down. It looks like in this middle sector of the lap that Rafael Blanco is really and truly in control right now. Really and truly in a good position, but Steinwart is being saved by a good run off of the hairpin. Let's see if he can keep that up for another lap here at this point. There they go, out of the third chicane. This is the closest battle on the track right now. Blanco again painting that white line on the left-hand side of the circuit, almost kicking up a little bit of grass as they work their way into the hairpin. And let's see if Steinwart's able to get the run that he needs. Oh, picture perfect there for Ryan Steinwart, the American, able to get that launch off the corner again, and that's going to keep the gap upwards of about 0.3 of a second. It's now dropping to 2.5 as the draft comes into play, but I think that is what Steinwart needed to do to be able to keep that advantage, as Blanco's got to get on the binders a little bit early and not able to make that run going down into the Quebec chicane. And again, as they come out of that chicane past the wall of champions, Steinwart just able to hold on here. He's losing a little bit of time. He's losing just little bits of 0.5 tenth here, 0.5 tenth there, and it's allowing for Blanco to threaten him, but he's keeping in good position. We now check back a little bit farther in the field. This is the battle for P6. Robert Woodward there in that number 4 machine. He's got some damage on the left-hand side of the car as you saw it streak on by your camera. That is going to be a little bit disconcerting there for them, but behind him, Banesh Ladd continuing to close in behind. He's about 1 second back. Hulkinen, Mika Hulkinen, about 0.7 of a second behind him. So pretty close running. Oh, we've had another problem here for Ivan Ayuso. That is going to be a spin coming down through the Senna S. That's really been the flashpoint here today. We've seen a lot of drivers getting it wrong down into that braking zone. Again, that's one of the things here that's really come in with these new Radical SR10s. We haven't really talked about that, but remember, these SR10s, these new look, new design Radicals, are only about 1.5 seasons old here on the iRacing service. And so it does take a little bit of time to get used to. The rear end in particular can step away from you. This is Bridges that you see on your screen. He is 3 laps down after being involved in that first lap scuffle, and he's doing the gentlemanly thing there of just getting out of the way, letting the faster cars on by. It also does look like Ayuso has decided to come down into pit lane as well, although I am actually showing him as being counted as out of the race. Yep, so he is disconnected here at this point. Bridges not looking like he's having the best run there. Sammy, the Carolinian driver, having a little bit of problems. I'm not sure if that was maybe a handling issue coming down through the hairpin or what exactly that was, but not looking good. We've got another driver coming down into pit lane, Miguel Henriquez Leon, bringing the number 17 down into the pits. Not sure what this is for. We don't expect a pit stop over the course of this sprint race, so that's either damage or that is Miguel calling it a day and parking that machine here at this point. We will have to see a little bit later on what that is. Good battle for the farther back positions, though. 14th right now. Ostorigano trying to close in on the back of Francesco Tonin right now. Tonin, the New Yorker, trying to hold off the Iberian driver here at this point. This, again, the battle for 14th position. They find themselves about 2.2 seconds behind David Ralston, who runs up the road from them. Let's see here if Tonin's going to be able to keep this car together. It looks like some relatively good lines coming through the second chicane. A little bit of a wide run there for Ostorigano, but he was able to collect it and not make contact with the outside wall. That's what you want to do. You want to flirt with danger. You don't want to run up against danger necessarily. Because now Tonin really starting to feel the pressure from Ostorigano as Ostorigano's closing it behind under 0.4 of a second here. He's going to be hoping for a good run down into the hairpin, as indeed that's where they are right now. Both drivers taking relatively similar lines through the right-handed corner, and it looks like off of a line that Tonin was able to get a much better launch, much better onto the loud pedal, as he's going to be able to increase that gap upwards of about 0.5 of a second. Now, obviously, because of the draft here, that's going to come down. We've got to look a little farther in the field. Ralston and Brandt side by side, and that's going to be Ralston able to get on by Todd Brandt here at this point. A good move down into the Quebec chicane and move the number 14 up into 12th place position. So that's going to be a good run there for them. They unfortunately have about 15 seconds to try to be able to close in on Daniel Silva up ahead of them. That 15-second gap really a result of that big stack up at the beginning of the race. I'll tell you what, though, it doesn't look like Todd Brandt is willing to let this go quietly, trying to keep some pressure to the back of Ralston, although coming through the first chicane, he does lose a little bit of time, taking the car very wide on the line into the second chicane, trying to close down a little bit more. That gap hovering at about 0.5 of a second as they get onto the loud pedal here in the run down under the bridge and into chicane number 3. They get onto the binders, and it looks like Brandt continues to lose a little bit of position there. It's now 6.5 of a second up to Ralston, so that battle very well may be dying out here as Ralston is able to sort of slip off into the distance. Again, don't think he's going to be able to close in on Daniel Silva up ahead of him, as that gap is 15.5 seconds here at this point, but definitely a good victory here for the driver of the number 14 to be able to hold on to 12th place position. Up a little bit farther in the field, the battle that we were watching a little bit earlier between Robert Woodward and Banesh Ladd, well, that has continued on. The number 4 holding off the number 6 here as they come down through the first chicane. They've got to be a little bit careful. Oh, as we've got another spin, that's Daniel Silva getting things wrong going down into the Senna S. Now, this was on the entry into the corner, and that's going to throw things off. A little bit of a battle here, Ostorigano and Tonin, and that's going to be Ostorigano able to hold off and keep Tonin behind him here for the moment. Him making that pass, I should say, going down the start-finish straightaway as these drivers work on lap number 10. So Ostorigano now up into 14th position and trying to stretch his legs a little bit over Francesco Tonin as they work on lap 10. Contact there potentially with the outside walls. We've got another car around, Miguel Henriquez Leon. This was going down off of the hairpin. Not entirely sure what happened with that. It looks like there's some lap traffic working their way on by him, so I wonder if that was a situation where he was offline, maybe didn't get the grip that he wanted, but that does give us a good excuse here to check back in on this battle between Woodward and Ladd right now. Ladd trying to close in behind on that number 4 machine. Good run off of the wall of champions here for the UK&I driver. Looks like Woodward trying to defend as best he can here at this point. Rear end of the car starting to break away a little bit as we hit 2/3 of the race done and in the books. Here they go. Ladd trying to keep up that pressure. Woodward just soaking it in like a sponge here at this point, trying to see what he is able to try to hold on to. Again, this is the battle for 6th place position. Woodward getting a great run there off of the first chicane. He's able to grow that gap to Ladd upwards of about 0.5 of a second. Now we've got a little bit of side-by-side. This is Rafael Blanco. He's tired of sitting around, going down into the 3rd chicane. Blanco able to get the move done on Ryan Steinwart, and there move the Uruguayan driver up into P3 for the moment, but I don't think the number 5 of Steinwart has any intention of waiting around and letting Blanco be able to scream off into the distance. He wants to push here at this point. He's only about 3.5 of a second behind that number 1 machine, and Blanco going to be giving a great draft here to Ryan Steinwart. Steinwart, though, pulls out of the draft, a little bit surprising, maybe just trying to fill the rear view mirrors of Blanco. I'm not really sure what that move was for. Ooh, contact there with Blanco with the wall of champions. Just a little bit of a brush to the right rear corner of that car, but still, he'll probably have felt that underneath the wheel. And he's got to be careful with that. He doesn't want to be running too much into it, although he only does have 4 laps to go here around this circuit, Gilles Villeneuve. Looks like Steinwart losing a little bit of ground to Blanco. The gap up to about 0.6 of a second here, call it 0.7 of a second, as they come down into the first chicane. To see if he's going to have anything to respond to Rafael, but Rafael, as denoted by that number 1, is the driver here in this event with the highest I rating. Rafael, a stalwart in the Radical Racing Challenge, so he is one to definitely keep your eyes open for, and it's going to be hard for him to try to gain back in. Yeah, there you can see it, about 6.2 thousand I rating. Absolutely impressive stuff. I also want to give credit there to Baba, only 3.9 I rating. He's on a B road racing license, and he is up and into first place, so that's going to be a nice little boost there for him. We check a little bit farther back in the field. This is Banesh Ladd now under pressure. He has gone from being the attacker to being the attackee, as Mika Holkkonen is behind him in that number 7 Radical, trying to put some pressure here to the UK&I driver. Holkkonen, the Finn, making contact with the outside barrier there. That's not going to be the best run of form for him, but he'll certainly be able to keep on and try to see what he can do. He's only got about 1/10 there. That's more of what I expect coming down the back straightaway, tucking behind in the draft, trying to use that draft as much as possible to gain some speed over the driver in front of you. Looks like Holkkonen, though, lost a little bit of time coming down through Quebec, didn't really want to push all that hard, and maybe just felt that trying to get on the loud pedal there was going to come back to bite him. So here he comes as they cross over the line with 3 laps to go. Little bit of a look there from Holkkonen up to the inside of the Senna S, but that's not going to play itself out. I think he's going to have to wait here for a sneak attack, maybe down into the 3rd chicane, or maybe down into Quebec. He's going to have to time this out right. The 2nd chicane, not really a good overtaking opportunity. As we said, you're just carrying too much speed into the corner, and you've got to be unloading the steering as you're applying the brakes. If you're offline through there, it's really a one-way ticket to lock up that car. As here he comes now, trying to see what he's got. 0.5 of a second the gap, so that's going to be Ladd able to pull away here a little bit more in the middle sector of the lap. Leader, by the way, coming down the back straightaway, getting ready to take 2 to go for Barney the flag man. We keep our eyes focused here on this battle between Mika Holkkonen and Banesh Ladd, trying to see what they are able to do. Oh, we've got a car spinning. That's Todd Brandt. Oh, careful on the rejoin there. I believe that is running down into the 2nd chicane. Thankfully, doesn't look like there was contact made with any other drivers around him. But let's go back and check out the Apex Racing TV replay here, brought to you by SDK Gaming. Brings the car down into the corner. Oh, just got on the loud pedal a little bit too early. Rear tire spun a little bit there coming off of the corner, and that was enough to be able to send him around and spinning. And thankfully, he was able to hold on to that and not have too many problems for him. And here we see that battle, though, again, with 2 laps to go. Woodward and Ladd. And don't look now, but, Ladd closing back in on the back of Woodward. Hulkinen, though, the one in the popcorn position, waiting to see if Ladd maybe is going to bite off a little bit more than he can chew here at this point to see if he can move ahead a little bit. Let's see what he does. Thinks about a little bit of a look there into turn the second chicane, but as we talked about, not the best overtaking opportunity. I think it's probably the best decision there from Hulkinen not to go for the move there at that point. Trying to see what he can do. Woodward able to get a little bit of a gap there over Ladd, going down into the third chicane. That'll buy him a little bit of breathing room, and he'll be very happy to see that, I am sure. Stretching away now as they make the run out of the woods and into this open area that is the hairpin section. Great area to view the race, by the way, as I've had the pleasure of doing twice in my life. Highly recommend going there. But right now, we check in on Ennio Baba, the leader of the race, as he has been since the drop of the green flag, as the white flag is now in the air for your leader, an 11-second gap over Kjetil Larsen. This is an absolutely remarkable drive for the number 3. Going to have a little bit of lap traffic to deal with in front of him, but Ennio has absolutely taken everything that has come his way. He has been able to deal with it to a T. As there you see that driver just getting out of the way. I think that may have been Bridges, actually, getting out of the way for your leader, and that means it is smooth sailing for Ennio Baba up until the end. One more chicane on the back half of this circuit, and then they wheel their way up and on through right now. Trying to see here if he's going to have anybody else to deal with. It doesn't look like 13th and 14th Osregano and Brandt and Tonin are a little bit farther up the road from him, so he's not going to have to deal with any of them as he comes out of the hairpin for the final time. The fans here giving him a rousing ovation as he flies on by and heads down the back straightaway here past the casino, getting ready to dive through the wall of champions for the final time. Ennio Baba, 1 corner, 2 corner, has it done. He's got the finish line in his sights. Barney the flagman waving the checkered flag, and Ennio Baba will take victory here in the Radical Racing Challenge to the tune of 11.9 seconds, a monstrous gap. Kjetil Larsen will come home in P2, followed by Rafael Blanco in P3, able to get that move done on Steinwert near the end of the race, so he will be very, very thankful to be able to hold on to that position. Oh, and we've got contact into the wall there. That was Ladd making contact with the wall. That's going to lose him spots. Oh, you hate to see that there for them on the final lap of the race. Oh, as Ladd, let's take another look here at that replay. Again, this is him under pressure here from Hulkinen. This is one of the battles that we were following pretty much the entire way. Takes a little bit more of a narrow line there coming, catches the curb, and a big thunk there into that outside barrier as there he is crossing over the line. Still a couple of drivers here still yet to finish up. Looks like Rolston, Ostrogano, Brandt, and Tonin. Let's actually keep our eyes here on Brandt as he comes in behind Ostrogano right now. Or excuse me, that's Tonin there behind him. Tonin thinking about trying to make a move down into the final corner. Going to try to send it in deep. That's not going to work. He misses the chicane altogether. Comes back out onto the track. And Francesco Tonin is going to have to settle for 15th position, having received a slowdown penalty as a result of that. Oh my goodness. Well, I told you that the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve was going to put on a spectacle for you, and folks, it did just that as Todd Brandt takes a little bit of his cool down lap here at this point in time. Going to bring that car down into one of the access roads. Here is Steinwert bringing the car back around. A couple of these drivers just getting the last little bits of racing that they can do out on the track here for this series. And of course, we will be back next week for this series as they head to another North American staple in the form of Road Atlanta. We are very, very excited to see that. We'll stick around with you here for a couple of more minutes just to wait and see if we've got any of the drivers popping in to have a little chat with us. But again, let's go through that final finishing order for you. It was Baba leading the way over Kjetil Larsen, then Rafael Blanco, Ryan Steinwert, Mike King, rounding out your top 5. Then Robert Woodward and Mika Hulkinen able to get that move over a little bit of an unfortunate run there for Banish Ladd as he made contact with the Wall of Champions on the final lap. Then it was Brian Siminski and Daniel Silva able to round out your top 10. In 11th place, Luke Albans, followed by Daniel Ralston and Christian Ostorogano, your biggest mover of the race, up 5 positions into 13th. Then it was Todd Brandt, Francisco Tonin, and Miguel Leon, followed by Sammy Bridges, Chris Brown, and Ayuso. Those last couple of drivers having a rough run of it out there on the circuit, unfortunately. And so that does mean that there are plenty of drivers that are trying to be able to get their way through, and still waiting here to see if anybody's going to pop up into the booth with us. It doesn't quite look like we are at this point, which is a little bit upsetting. I would have loved to have had a chat with them before the holidays, but folks, let's go back and take a look at the start here, actually. Let's see if we can see exactly what happened. Now, we're going to follow here on Sammy Bridges. Now, that is that white car on the back on the right-hand side of the starting grid. Looks like there... Oh, no, that's the number 10, Daniel Silva, or excuse me, the number 10 there. It looks like they had a bad run. That's Chris Brown. I wonder if flicking up through the gears, if Brown maybe had a little bit of an issue and spun the rear tires. This is it. Let's ride on board here with the number 10, gets it into gear. Let's take a listen. No, that wasn't a problem there from Brown, the driver in front of him there, and I believe that may have been Ayuso. Looked like he tried to turn over the left to try to defend the move there from Brown, and Chris Brown just not able to get out of the way in time, and that is what caused that big stack up there as they all came through. So that is the explanation there for what exactly happened. But, well... As folks, it still doesn't look like we have any drivers here that want to talk with us. I'm not sure the reason. I took a shower this morning. I smell nice. My hair's all done. I'm ready to chat with them, but I don't think anybody wants to chat with us here today. So that is unfortunately going to wrap up our coverage of the Radical Racing Challenge here on Apex Racing TV. My name is DJ Clark with Samuli Kumo on directing duties here today. It's been an absolute pleasure to bring you the racing action out on the circuit. And until we see you on the track, thanks for watching and have a very, very happy holidays.